yet tonight was nothing short of brilliant, and he showed everything from offense to defense to a chin. It was, I knew that he was something when no one else wanted him. Peter Kahn contacted me and he said, I have this tatted up, self-confident, good-looking Greek kid who lives in Australia, and I think he can fight. We believed in him and he believed in himself, but no one else did. And all he's done is exceed expectations his whole career. And no one, let's all be honest, I mean, I knew it was going to be a fight, but I wasn't running around saying Kambosos is going to 100% win this fight and be undisputed and it's going to be a fight of the year candidate. I mean, the kid, he imagined what he was going to do, he visualized what he was going to do, and he did it. And how great is that? You know, that's what boxing's all about. That's why you love the sport. That's why we fight the fights. And right now, this tatted up Greek kid from Australia is the man. Now he's the man, and that's pretty cool. It's cool for me, my company. It's cool for Peter, who's his manager. It's cool. It's most cool for George and his dad, and who always believed that they had what it took to be a superstar.
And little Chihuahua.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, his father said from the first time I had a conversation with his father, my son is special, my son's going to be a superstar. And, I liked it enough, I liked what they were saying enough, and I liked what I saw enough to sign him and work with him. But his confidence and his work ethic, man, I mean, first of all, the motor he showed in that fight. He outworked Teofimo in that fight. I mean, and Teofimo was in shape, man. He was in shape, and Teofimo landed some bombs. But George's motor was extraordinary. And look, he did pretty much everything right tonight. And as a result of that, he's on top of the boxing world, and he earned it. Now he's the man, and where we go from here, he's going to be the master of his own destiny. I'm going to present him with the best opportunities that are out there, and then he's going to figure out what he and the whole team together, what's best for his future. But right now there's no rematch clauses. There's no ties to any streaming service or network. He's free to pursue every opportunity that's out there, and that's what we're going to do. I think he'll get back soon to Australia to see his baby and spend time with his wife and mourn his grandfather. He lost his grandfather during camp. But then we'll be figuring out what the best plan of action is.
Luke, Pedro Diaz, the trainer of Kambosos, said that Devin Haney is who they're looking at now. What do you think about the fight? Is that what you'd be looking at?
Well, I mean, he has he has a belt. But we're not committing to anything, man. And by the way, who needs it? Who needs who more? Who needs who more? No. Don't go like this. Who needs who more?
He's unified. You're right.
Okay. Devin Haney needs George more than George needs Devin Haney. Doesn't mean we're not fighting Devin Haney. If it's the best deal and it's the move that George wants to make after we look at all alternatives, that's the route he'll go. But we're going to look at every alternative, and we're not tying ourselves to anything right now. George is going to do what's best for Team Kambosos. I think it's possible. I wouldn't think it's going to happen next. No, but I think I'd be surprised if that fight doesn't happen someday again. But I don't think George is going anywhere for a while. I think George is a young guy at the top of his game, and I think George. I don't want to hear any more. First of all, don't call anyone the Four Kings, because none of them prove shit to be called the Four Kings. The Four Kings were Hagler, Hearns, Ledner, Durant. But if you want to start talking about kings of lightweight right now, there's 5 of them, and you could start with George Kambosos. I'm not sure right this second. And also, I don't think George is going to get in the ring in 60 days. This was a grueling fight. He's getting stitched up now. He's on his way to a hospital, as is Lopez. So I don't know yet. Garcia's going to come back. He's sitting there. Haney's there. There's a fight. Haney's got to take care of business against Diaz. You got Lomachenko fighting Comey. There are a lot of different directions and places that he can go. And frankly, he's sitting there with all these belts at 35. So there's people looking up at him from 30 and people looking down at him from 42. So he has a wealth of opportunities and alternatives. Devin Haney is certainly one of them. But I don't think we're not committing ourselves to anything tonight.
Would you think Lomachenko was the name that he was the former champ before Teo?
I mean, first of all, Lomachenko has to get by my guy Comey. So, I'm not sitting here looking. I got Comey. I ain't look. I'm not looking past that night, December 11th, where we'll be back here in the big room. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of possibilities, and Devin is one of them.
Lou, Teofimo was obviously upset with the hometown stoppage. He believes that he won 10 or 12 rounds.
Well, come on, dude. You watched the fight, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you think he won 10 or 12 rounds,
No,
I want whatever drug you're on. I want whatever he's on, because if he thinks he won 10 or 12 rounds, I love Teofimo. But if he thinks he won 10 rounds, he's tripping. Tripping. Cold, stone, tripping. I mean, I thought the right guy won the fight. I mean, I really thought the right guy won the fight. I had him winning the fight. I mean, I got to be honest, after the 10th round, Teofimo had taken a couple of rounds. It had closed. I had a gap, and then I saw the gap closing. But then I thought Teofimo turned it around and made George turned it around again and clearly won 11 and 12. And I thought he won the fight, clearly.
When you heard the split decision, right? First card went to Kambosos.
Whenever you hear split decision, you get nervous, especially when you're the B-side. Whenever you hear split decision, you get nervous.
Did you have it 7-5 or a little wider than that?
I had it 7-4-1, 7-5. Call it 7-5 because I had one that I was so close, but you could argue maybe Teofimo landed a harder punch. But I thought George won clearly by a couple of points. At one point, I had George up 4 points, and then it tightened up, and then George opened it a little bit again.
Let me ask you this. I know this is like a lot of options to come back for you. Do you think with this performance, George proved he's number one?
Now he is. Not right now.
A lot of people would say, no, Devin.
For what? For what resume? I mean, when Devin didn't beat Teofimo Lopez, he beat the man. Now he's the man. If Devin beats him, Devin will be the man. If we fight Devin. Right? But this attitude, we somehow have to fight them. Who would have to do shit? George's gonna do what's right for George. I mean, and dollars. What makes dollars makes sense.
What do you think makes the biggest dollars for George?
I don't know. We're gonna find out, man. That's my job. And I'm gonna bring those opportunities to George and his team, and they're gonna make a decision as to what route they want to go.
Well, I gotta ask you. I see it on Twitter all right now. Do you consider? Did you consider Teofimo, or did you consider Devin Haney as a piece of champ?
I mean, he's got a belt, but Teofimo beat Loma. Loma was the man. I considered Teofimo going into this fight to be the man, and now I consider George to be the man. And Devin has a belt. And Devin is not the biggest name in the division, and Devin is not the biggest draw in the division, and Devin's never proved himself on pay-per-view, and Devin's never generated tens of millions of dollars. Doesn't mean he's not a great fighter. Doesn't mean he can't be a superstar in the future. But we're not committing ourselves to everything until we look at the whole marketplace and the whole universe of opportunity. And then George Kambosos just rightfully will make the decision where he's going next.
You may not have had this conversation yet, but how important is it for him to fight Cole?
I've known he's always his team's always wanted to fight at home, so it's pretty important to him. So I think it's something that certainly will be looked at, and a possible, very possible that'll be on the agenda. I mean, he's an Australian. I mean, Australia, he's now like you want to talk about the man? When he gets off a plane in Australia, he's the man, right? So I mean, if you're Australian, he's a proud Australian of Greek heritage, and I'm sure he's going to want to visit Greece in the next year, and I'm sure he's going to want to fight in Australia.
Well, you just got done saying if it makes dollars, it makes sense. You said we'll see what that is. What do you think is the biggest challenge for Kambosos at 135?
I don't gauge challenges, man. I gauge opportunities and events, and we're going to look at what presents itself as the biggest, potential event and the biggest payday for George, and also a plan of action for George. I mean, we're going to look in the marketplace. It's not just, George can make a decision to fight pretty much anyone he wants next. He's not bound to a mandatory. He just fought one. He's not. He doesn't have to fight Devin Haney. He can elect to fight someone else. Now, that being said, we're going to listen and talk about Haney, but we're going to listen and talk about everything else that may present itself as a big opportunity.
How likely is a homecoming like this?
It's too early to say, man. You know, to be honest, like we probably won't even have a serious conversation about anything for he's got to get home and hang out with his kids. And he's been training for a fight for a full year. I mean, this COVID shit and all the cancellations and the stuff that went on with the movement of the dates of Triller and just like there was he's been training for a full year for a fight. He's got to be physically exhausted. And by the way, that was World War III. So I got to wrap it up. These guys have to go home.
Lastly,
These guys have to get out of here. They got to get out of here. So
lastly, what did it say when Teofimo was in the ring saying that he won in a pro-Lopez crowd is bullying?
it says he didn't win, which by the way, you all know he didn't win. I know he didn't win. I don't hate the kid for thinking he won. He's a great kid. He's my friend. I've always liked Lopez since he was an amateur, and I think he's a good